What day is today?
The best day of my life. Sorry, no offense.
Finally it's happening.
Yes,
Yeah,
we get to ride a camel.
Not just ride a camel from Qeshm Island to Naz Island.
Yeah, no.
Naz Island.
No.
That's Qeshm Island, that's where we started.
I mean, now 5-year plan, start breeding camels. I'm gonna make a market for camel milk cheese.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, we can do it. I know I can do it.
ای عاشقان ای عاشقان دیوانه ام کو سلسله جنبان جان عالم ز تو پر بلبله سلسله جنبان جان عالم ز تو پر بلبله ساقی یار باده را آن میوه آماده را ساقی یار باده را آن میوه آماده را کی نشینم پشت دریا بین دل داده را کی نشینم پشت دریا بین دل داده را زنجیر دیگر ساختی برگردنم انداختی زنجیر دیگر ساختی برگردنم انداختی و از آسمان در تاختی تا ره زنی بر قافله تا ره زنی بر قافله ساقی یار باده را آن میوه آماده را ساقی بیار باده را آن میوه آماده را کی نشینم پشت دریا بین دل داده را کی نشینم پشت دریا بین دل داده را سلطانم شوی در ملک جاویدان شوی.
Welcome back! Well, January is over. We are into February now and time for another video. Hope
Yes.
everybody is staying warm.
Burr. Speaking of Burr, January is a popular month for people to take off and enjoy the sun and sand. So we thought it was a good time to talk about farm life balance and answer that age-old questions. Can farmers have a vacation?
All right, and how?
بیرون شوی زین مزبله بیرون شوی زین مزبله بیرون شوی زین مزبله اندیشه جانت رسته شد راه خطاها بسته شد اندیشه جانت رسته شد راه خطاها بسته شد زان کو به تو پیوسته شد زان کو به تو پیوسته شد.
So this isn't a simple yes or no answer. It's kind of like, well, probably, but it entails a lot of planning and stress and anxiety. But yeah, I mean, farmers live and breathe and eat and sleep our animals, but it can wear you out because we're on it like 365 days a year, 24/7. You're on call all the time for your animals. No holidays, no weekends, every day, you know, much to our family and friends' disappointment. I've turned down so many events and dinners and family get-togethers that you have to rush out of for your animals. So it does, you know, you love it, but it can wear you out. So yeah, it's really important. We've learned over the years, it's important to try and kind of slow down. But it's very hard to do that when you're on the farm because everywhere you look, you're like, oh, I gotta go do that. Oh, this, that, it never ends. So yeah, in our first, when we first started, we've been farming for over 10 years now. For the first few years, it seemed impossible. Like we would never be able to get away. And then, I mean, we're so lucky to have our beautiful second home in Iran, and that it was important for us to visit. And you know, with life changes and family and home became more of a priority to us. So we decided to make it happen. And honestly, if Aras didn't just book the tickets and say, figure it out, I wouldn't have done it, because it is the thought of leaving your family with somebody else. It's just, it was too much. It was way too stressful and way too much anxiety for me. But he booked it and he's like, figure it out if you want to come. So we've been lucky enough to go home to Iran 4 times since we started farming. So we feel pretty grateful for that. And we went actually 4 times, and 2 of those times we were living off grid, so which is like adds extra complications for trying to leave.
Yeah.
And we've left in every season except lambing. We've never left during lambing because that's just way too much. But yeah, so we've been gone in summer, fall, winter, and each season has its own pros and cons, its own anxieties and stresses and things you have to plan for. There is no season that's easier or better than the other. Going during summer, if you leave during summer, you have to, because we rotate all the livestock on pasture, and we are doing it with electric fencing. Every week they'd be in a new pasture. Well, if you're gone for 4 weeks, you either have to make in a huge pasture that will last them 4 weeks, it could be hard on the pasture, or you have to somehow plan a way that the person who comes and watches, a farm sitter, can easily move your livestock. Summer also brings the threat of wildfire, so you have to have a plan in place. What if a wildfire comes and the farm sitter is stuck with evacuating your animals? And then, water issues and forage issues and all sorts of issues that you have to plan for, and that's just the summer.
Yeah.
And then winter.
It can be tempting for the summer,
That's
because
It's
it's a lot
easy,
easier to find
it's
somebody. A lot
warm.
more people are available.
That's so true.
And so that's why the first time we went, I think, in summer.
Yeah, we did. Everyone wants to be a farmer in summer. Everybody. No problem.
But I don't think we're gonna do that again.
No. And also, BC is so beautiful in summer. It's like, why would we spend the winter here and leave during the most beautiful time? But so yes, those are some of the issues to think about in summer, at least that we have to. Also, heat. Heat is a big one. You have to worry about the farm sitter being observant enough to realize, if you have to put a sprinkler up for the sheep or the birds and providing shade. And anyway, there's a lot of stuff with that.
Right.
Heat stress, recognizing heat stress.
Yeah.
But then leaving in winter, again, has its own challenges. If there's an extra cold spell and your water, like your pipes freeze or your lines freeze, or having to get the farm sitter to axe out your water troughs, or recognize frostbite or any lethargy in your birds and stuff that they might have from the cold, and road issues,
Yeah.
So in firewood, I mean, it just goes on and on. There's all sorts of things. So so each season has its challenges.
Yeah,
Which
it's a little easier to mitigate the issues with winter with some time and planning. Like, for example, you can create redundant systems for your water, so that if one fails, they have a backup system of some sort.
That's it.
It takes obviously it takes work, but if you have enough time, you might be able to do that.
But winter brings another challenge of finding someone who actually wants to be a farmer during winter. Like, it's a tough cookie who wants to, especially off-grid, who wants to be off-grid in the middle of nowhere, dealing with low light. Again, if you're on solar only, you got to deal with the low light, not having as much power. So it's every season has its own thing.
Yeah.
But so it brings us to the point of finding that farm sitter. So again, we wouldn't have been able to take that time away and go on our trips if it wasn't for a whole community of people that work together to fill in the space of the 1-2 farmers.
Every time.
A huge community of people.
Yeah.
And one of the most important is that farm sitter. We have been so lucky to find incredible people who have intelligent and resourceful and just motivated and loving, just the most amazing people we've had to take care of our family. And they have done amazing jobs with all the challenges that have come about. It brings on a lot of stress and anxiety just thinking about going away and planning the trip. But not once have I ever regretted taking that time away. So yeah, you know what, you have that time, you come back and you feel so refreshed and you're just so full of love for your family and ideas and motivation, and it's just, it only benefits everybody to take that, as hard as it is, just to break that, cut that umbilical cord, say, take that step away and look at things kind of from an outside perspective.
Even before going away, we have to reevaluate every process, everything at the farm, and look at it a bit more carefully. Like, is this efficient enough? Is this good enough that we can give it to somebody else? Because if you're doing everything yourself, then you just put up with a lot of, maybe inefficient or broken things because you have so many things in your plate. But when you're trying to hand it to other people, delegate, it really forces you to reevaluate things and hopefully make some improvements. Yeah.
Yeah, every time we go away, it gets just a little easier,
Yeah.
and our systems get a little more efficient. So, yeah, it really gives you that space to look back. And it just break that routine, because farmers, we're just so busy. We have so much on our plate. And you just don't have time to like look up and kind of think of better ways of doing things. This is how you've always done it. It's worked. Why change it? Whatever. It gets the job done. It works. That's also why a good farm sitter is so important, because they come in with those fresh eyes, fresh ideas, and they like a few times they've said, "Hey, so why do you do it this way when this way is like a lot easier?" I'm like, and I just like, that's just how I've always done it. I don't know. I just didn't think about it. So
there are definitely great people out there. We have some really great contacts.
Man. Yeah.
And it takes some work. Like you know.
Oh yeah.
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 You don't always want to go for the first person that shows up. When you put an ad out.
Yes.
So you really need to make sure. It's a huge responsibility, and the person should be up for it. So we have to, you have to have some way of building that trust.
Definitely. That brings us to our tips.
Yeah. So what are some of the tips
tips of farmers? Tips that we've learned over the years of again, getting away, like taking that breath and stepping away.
Yeah. So tip number one is start planning at least a year ahead. And then so put that on the calendar. That's the first step, and discuss it with each other or your partners, and telling other people, like if you have other jobs, you need to book time ahead, and
family, or customers, even if you have customers that are relying on you. That's very important.
Yeah, and then once you put that on calendar and you've told everybody, you've kind of answered the early questions, then book those tickets. Book those tickets as soon as possible, because once you do that, then everything is real. There's no going back, and then you kind of have to deal with this.
That's what I noticed when my anxiety kicks in, when he actually books the tickets, and then I'm like, oh my God, this is actually real. I really have to get my butt in gear. So that brings us to step 2. Start looking for that farm sitter right away, like a year ahead. That's not too soon, seriously. If you're booking a trip, say like a month away, and don't go with just the first person you find, unless they're a fabulous person. And if you're lucky to find that fabulous person, don't be shy to interview. Like I think some of our trips, I interviewed over 30 farm sitters before I was satisfied with one that I actually felt was competent and I could trust enough to do the job. So definitely find the right farm sitter.
Yeah. And the other tip is to take little short trips once in a while and get your farm sitter to come and take care of the animals. And that gives you a little break. You can kind of think about things and have a little mental break and physical break from the farm. And also gives you a chance to test, how they perform and what kind of, how much trust can you put on them.
It's really important. And because they often, when you go through you show them what to do, they might have a few questions, but until they're out there doing it on their own, they don't really, they get a lot more questions when they're actually out there doing it without you hovering.
Yeah.
So it's really beneficial to do that.
Yeah.
And always have plan A, B, C, D, Q, X, Z. That's what I find.
Plans.
Lots of backup plans. So you find a guy to plow your road, make sure you have 2 other numbers just in case. You find a firewood guy, make sure you have 3 other numbers. Same with like food. Buy enough food as you would have used in that time, but then buy again almost double that, just in case. If you have, you just never know what's going to happen. So definitely lots of stocking up, planning ahead. all your medical stuff, like even if, just all your, make sure if something happens with your birds, you have all your, bird hospital stuff set up, extra straw, polysporin, whatever you might need. So that you can just explain to them, whether it's a video or talking on the phone, explain to them what, where. That's another thing we also did. Another tip, before you go, make a bunch of informative videos for them. So we did that a lot. I would go around and I would take videos of certain things, like this is where the bird hospital is, this is how you do this, that. And then have those videos available to them. Oh, or like when we were off grid as well, we videoed the how to do the solar, works, how the solar system worked, and how to troubleshoot things, so that if they can't get a hold of you, especially if it's your night and it's their day, like we're in Iran, it's 12 hours ahead. So make sure they have those resources and contact numbers and all that. So. A lot of prep. Definitely.
For sure. But it's all worth it. It's totally worth it. It's, for your mental health. Farming is a very, very difficult job. You're dealing with a lot of different variables and a lot of different disappointments. It's very challenging at lots of times.
And you give yourself to them. So you really, you give a lot of yourself, and you're always giving to everybody else. So you really need that time to take care of yourself, so that you have that energy and that love to give to them. Otherwise, it can be very hard.
That being said, our vacations hasn't been really the kind that you just go and lay on a beach.
That's true.
We have had a lot of really crazy adventures. Like one of our vacation, we went and climbed Mount Damovan. That whole trip was basically mountain climbing. Like we had to climb 3 other peaks before we can get to Mount Damovan, because it was so high elevation that our guide was saying it's not even safe to go straight to Mount Damovan. So for the whole 4 weeks, we were just basically climbing. Here we are at the top of Mount Tocha. Yeah, like everywhere else. This is the old shelter, the new shelter, and here's the view of Tehran, Mount Damovan. So we're gonna go tomorrow morning to the first station. Hi. Yes. About 50 meters left to the top. It's a really tough climb for me. Anastasia had a pretty good time. She's over there, as usual, taking some pictures. That's the top of Mount Damovan. You can see the gases, even though the volcano is dormant, you can see the gases flowing out.
And we took a 80-90 hour train ride from Istanbul to Iran.
Right, I forgot about
and we got
that.
stopped in a military. Anyway, it was an adventure.
And we've got we went to Azerbaijan, where we didn't speak the language, and we just it was just to get the experience. But
mostly we just go to eat. Really, we just go to eat.
The food has been really good. or for really interesting natural places.
And to see other farming practices too. We do really enjoy going to the other countries and seeing how they do things. I don't feel like we went to Azerbaijan and to some old Dukabor villages, and we saw it was winter, it was cold, there was snow on the ground, I don't know, -10. And they're hanging laundry outside. And I felt so at home. And their geese and their ducks are running around under their laundry in the cabbage field, and laundry hanging in the snow. And I felt so at home, like that's where it comes from. So it is good to go out and connect and see that you're not alone and you're not a weirdo necessarily.
Well, it just expands your world. Every time we come back, we feel like our whole world has become larger. We have more perspective, more to. You're just recharged, and you feel like you have more to give.
And it also, you realize how grateful you are for what you have, and especially as a farmer too. It does reaffirm your love of farming. You come back, you're like, I really do love this, and you really appreciate what you have here, especially here in Canada, in the Slocan Valley, and we're just so lucky to have all this nature and beauty and peace and
Yeah.
so don't be afraid. You can do
Yes.
it regardless. I know a lot of farmers say, I can't do it. I have way more going on.
Yeah.
No. Even during when we had our farm business was at its peak, when we had so many customers and animals and dealing with the food bank and everything, we still took that time and got away, and people understand. People are really good. So don't think you can't do it. You just got to find that right farm sitter.
Yeah, at whatever stage you are in your farm, like right now we are kind of in transition. We are kind of rethinking our operations and starting to think about how to grow again. But this kind of stage is perfect for planning, putting the time in. But when earlier when we did those trips, sometimes it was a really stressful time. And we just like had to. We're like, okay, there's no other option. We have to figure out, we have to make time for this.
So it's possible. It's possible, and you don't have to go for a month. You can just go for a week. It's a lot less stressful doing that, but it's doable. So do it.
Depending on how far you're going. Yeah.
Farmers deserve it. Deserve it. You give your all to everybody else except yourself, so you deserve it. But any farm updates?
Oh yes. Okay. It's January is finished. We are into February now, so looking forward to the trees, the sap starts to flow up slowly this month as the temperature during the day start to warm up a little bit. We're gonna get more sap flowing toward the buds, and so that is a good time for tapping the maple. So we are lucky here that previous people here have planted a whole bunch of maples, so we can tap those. They had the foresight to do that. It's amazing. And it's also now is a good time to start pruning the fruit trees. So I'm going to be doing that starting next week, and just kind of get to know the trees a bit more and their conditions and document that as well. And also this year I'm cutting some logs for growing mushrooms. And mushroom logs also, you want to catch them when the sap is in the tree, but before it leaves out. So again, you want to capture the most amount of nutrients in that log so that you can get a better growing of the mycelium inside the log. So those are sort of our get-to-dos this month, and then so we have some updates hopefully in next video.
Yeah, because not much. Animals are kind of just trying to get through January. It got a bit cold here, and we got more snow, so they're just enjoying the sun and the warmth when we do get it. So animals are kind of just plugging along.
All right, well, that's it. Enjoy the footage.
Yes.
I'll share some videos of Iran, and I have Iranian music that I'm gonna play along with it, with a poem from Rumi. I hope that you enjoy it, and we'll see you next time.
Yes.
Bye.
Okay, keep working.
ای کرده تو مهمانم در پیش درآ جانم زان روی که حیرانم من خانه میدانم من خانه نمیدانم من خانه نمیدانم زان روی که حیرانم من خانه نمیدانم من خانه نمیدانم من خانه نمیدانم تو واله هم شهر و هم اهل ده کوخانه کوخانه من خانه نمیدانم من خانه نمیدانم من خانه نمیدانم کوخانه نشانم ده من خانه نمیدانم من خانه نمیدانم من خانه نمیدانم زان کس تو بود شورش میدار تو معذورش وز خانه مکن دورش من خانه نمیدانم آن کس که شدی دانش زان کس مطلب جانش پیشا و مرنجانش من خانه نمیدانم آن کس که شدی دانش زان کس مطلب جانش پیشا و مرنجانش من خانه نمیدانم من عاشق و مشتاقم من شهره آفاقم من عاشق و مشتاقم من شهره آفاقم رهمارو مکن طاقم من خانه نمیدانم من خانه نمیدانم من خانه نمیدانم رهمارو مکن طاقم من خانه نمیدانم من خانه